a very special lady, because you're full of life, full of laughter, full of joy, and you've just entertained the nation at 96.
For nearly 20 years, Britain's Got Talent has been a place where regular people get to show their talents to the world. But behind all the cameras, some of the show's most popular acts have sadly gone quiet. Why does losing these stars still feel so tough today? Here are the true stories of 10 beloved contestants who made us smile on stage, but are no longer with us today. Nora Barton. When she finally stepped onto the big stage, Nora Barton brought an absolutely lovely warmth that instantly won over the room. She was born all the way back in 1923, and she spent her whole life singing to anyone who would listen. But she never actually dreamed of performing on a massive stage like the London Palladium. That all changed in 2020 when she was 96 years old. Nora decided it was finally time to step into the spotlight, and she became the oldest contestant in the history of the show. She was helped onto the stage by her daughter, Pam, alongside presenter Aunt McPartlin. For several years, Nora had been dealing with Alzheimer's disease. Her memory was starting to fade, and some days were really tough for her. But whenever she was around music, everything changed. Music was her beautiful anchor, because it kept her connected to the world, even when her memories started to drift away. So, as Pam sat down at the piano, Nora took a deep breath and began to sing "The Loveliest Night of the Year." Her voice was soft and gentle, but it was filled with so much real life and emotion. A magical silence fell over the entire auditorium as the audience leaned in to listen closely. By the time she finished her song, the entire theater stood up to applaud her with tears in their eyes. The judges absolutely loved her performance, and Simon Cowell even smiled as he joked that he loved her too. Nora got 4 yeses from the panel, and even though she didn't make it to the semifinals, she had already won her moment. It was a moment of true triumph. Sadly, on January 2nd, 2021, Nora passed away peacefully at 97. But Nora wasn't the only one who touched everyone with her gentle spirit. Another young singer also stepped onto the stage, carrying a really heavy burden of fear. Emma Jones. In 2015, we met a quiet girl named Emma Jones, who had a very beautiful and unique voice that immediately left a huge mark on the show. When she walked onto the stage at 23 years old, her hands were shaking, and she was visibly terrified. She was a quiet, shy girl from Cumbria who spent her time singing alone in her room because she didn't have the confidence to sing in front of people. Her big struggle with having low confidence and a massive fear of performing had kept her from sharing her singing with anyone for a long time. But when the music for the Ave Maria started to play, all of her terrifying nerves seemed to melt away in an instant. She opened her mouth, and this incredible operatic voice filled the room, making everyone's jaw drop. The judges couldn't believe what they were hearing, and it was such a beautiful performance that everyone stood up to cheer for her. The massive applause was so overwhelming that Emma cried tears of relief backstage, realizing that for the first time in her life, she felt truly seen. Amanda Holden said it was one of the prettiest auditions the show had ever had, and the other judges told her how amazing she was. Emma made it to the semifinals, where she performed beautifully before she was sent home. Following her temporary time in the spotlight, Emma returned to a quiet, peaceful life in Cumbria, where she was deeply cherished as a local celebrity by neighbors. Tragically, in 2024, Emma was diagnosed with cancer that quickly spread from her ovaries to the rest of her body. Even though she fought hard, she sadly passed away on Valentine's Day in 2024 at only 32 years old. She was truly an unforgettable part of BGT history. Yet, while some found their moment of glory in a single audition, the next performer became famous for a different kind of dedication. David J. Watson. If you have watched Britain's Got Talent for a while, you definitely already know David J. Watson because he was the king of never giving up. Most people would stop trying after getting rejected once, but David kept coming back and ended up auditioning a record 12 times.
Slightly different roles. I'm just curious why you think you could win, that's all.
Well, it's because I believe in myself, I can do it.
He was born in May 1959, and he was a retired NHS worker who just loved making people happy. He absolutely loved theater and spent years with a drama group. Every single year, when the massive audition doors swung open, David was there, completely hopeful and ready with a brand new, quirky act. He did all kinds of things on stage, like dressing up as the Hulk, doing silly magic tricks, and doing funny impressions of politicians. The show's main hosts, Ant and Dec, always loved seeing his cheerful face walk through the double doors because he brought so much fun to the set. In 2020, he finally got to go through to the second round, which was an incredibly huge dream come true for him after all those years of hard work. But in December 2021, his story had a very sad ending. His family started to worry and get really highly concerned when they couldn't get a hold of him and noticed his phone messages weren't being read, so they called the police. When the police sadly entered his home, they found that he had passed away alone at 62 years old. Lots of people were sad to hear the news. Amanda Holden also paid tribute, fondly describing him as a great sport who was always up for a laugh and always brought so much positive energy. David showed us all that it's always okay to keep trying, even when things don't go your way at first. But as inspiring as David's persistence was, the stage was also a place where others fought a completely different kind of daily battle, turning physical struggles into pure art. Paula Molton. Showing the world that barriers are meant to be broken, Paula Molton was a wonderful dancer who never let anything stop her from chasing her dreams. In 2012, she walked onto the stage with her dance partner, Carrie, as a duo called Strictly Wheels. They performed an incredibly beautiful, fast-paced and high-energy dance routine to the song Empire State of Mind by Alicia Keys, and they left the audience and the judges completely amazed.
You've got 4 yeses, congratulations.
What made it even more special was that Paula was performing in a wheelchair. Years before the show, she had contracted a dangerous and really bad superbug called MRSA when she was recovering from pneumonia back in the hospital. This horrible illness caused severe damage to her pelvis and spine, and unfortunately, it meant she couldn't walk anymore. Paula actually said that using a wheelchair was a relief because it gave her some independence back. When she was on stage, she looked so happy and confident, and she proved that you don't need to stand up to dance. With their incredible energy, the duo made it all the way to the live semi-finals in 2012. And after the show, Paula and Carrie started a charity to help other people in wheelchairs learn how to dance. Sadly, in June 2023, Paula passed away suddenly at the age of 52, which was a huge shock to her family and friends. After her passing, Carrie spoke out about how she always stayed so positive in life and how she never let her wheelchair get in her way. She was a truly inspiring dancer who opened doors and created opportunities for so many other people who wanted to dance. For Paula, the dance floor was a place where she could feel completely free. But for the next performer, a lifetime of dancing hit a very dark struggle that nobody saw until it was too late. Chantel Belaloo. Bringing a massive burst of energy and joy to the stage back in 2019, Chantel Belaloo was a brilliantly professional tap dancer who loved her craft. Chantel originally grew up in Merseyside and fell in love with show business when she was just 3 years old. She trained really hard and spent hours practicing at a top dance school in Chester. And because of her talent, she went on to perform in major musicals like 42nd Street and even toured in The Greatest Showman. When she auditioned for BGT, she did a brilliant military-themed tap dance routine that was super fun and energetic. During her amazing performance, her male backup dancers playfully ripped off her outer blue costume to reveal a Union Jack outfit, which left the hosts Ant and Dec laughing. She was so good that she even taught the famous Strictly judge Anton Dubek some of her tap dancing tricks. But behind her big, bright smile on stage, Chantel was fighting a very quiet and difficult battle with depression. When the live entertainment industry slowed down, things got really hard for her. She had to leave her dance teaching career and started working in a local supermarket. She struggled in silence to find the mental health help she needed, and tragically, in March 2025, Chantel took her own life at just 34 years old. The dancing community was completely shocked by her loss. In a really moving message, her heartbroken mother, Jill Dawson, spoke out about how proud she was of her daughter for achieving her lifelong passion-filled dreams of being a dancer. Chantel's tragic story is a very sad and powerful reminder of how much pain people can actually hide behind a big, beautiful smile. While Chantel's struggle happened after her time on the show, the next mother on our list had to carry an unimaginable grief onto the stage with her. Simone Kerr. Standing on the BGT stage with a very heavy heart, a dedicated nurse named Simone Kerr showed us the meaning of courage. She was a nurse from London, and she joined the choir because she wanted to make a real difference. She wanted to help save other children's lives. At the time, she was still heavily grieving the loss of her beloved 6-year-old son, Carrie, who had sadly died after a tough battle with sickle cell disease. When she sang with the choir, you could hear all of her love and her grief in her voice, and it moved the judges and the audience to tears. The choir did so well that they made it all the way to the live finals. But just a few months after the show ended, a terrible tragedy happened. In August 2018, Simone was tragically attacked and murdered in her own home by her boyfriend, who was a former soldier. She was only 31 years old. This horrific news was an absolute shock to her friends, her choir, and the whole country, and her attacker was later arrested and sent to prison. Simone's passing was a really dark and heavy loss, but the people who knew her want everyone to remember her for the amazing person she was. They want us to focus on her incredible courage, her hard work as an NHS nurse, and the beautiful singing voice she used to honor her son. Her memory still lives on today through the blood donation campaigns she helped promote. Simone used her voice to deal with the heavy pain of losing her child, but the BGT stage also saw young, talented dancers whose quiet struggles were completely hidden from the cameras until it was too late. Jack Saunders. Few dancers could match the high-octane energy of Jack Saunders, a highly talented young performer who truly lit up the stage back in 2019. He was part of a 5-piece dance crew called Green Force 5, and they put together a fast hip-hop routine that completely blew the judges away. Jack was already very highly successful in the dancing world. When he was only 18, he performed as the youngest paid dancer at the London Olympics opening ceremony, and he even made it to the finals of a popular television dance show. Green Force 5's energetic audition was so thoroughly impressive that they easily and deservedly secured a coveted spot in the upcoming live semifinals. But before anyone could see them perform on the live shows, a terrible tragedy happened. In March 2019, Jack took his own life at just 25 years old. He didn't leave a note, and sadly, none of his close friends or family members had any idea that he was quietly struggling deep down with his mental health because he always seemed so happy and supportive of everyone else. This sudden and tragic news completely broke the hearts of his family, his dance crew, and the show's producers. Green Force 5 made the decision to pull out of the competition to honor Jack, and the show decided not to air their audition. In the middle of her deep sadness, Jack's mother, Sandra, later decided to speak out to try and help other people going through tough times. She wanted to remind everyone that mental health struggles can happen to absolutely anyone, even to people who seem to have a perfect life on the outside. Jack is remembered as a kind, caring person who always helped others. While Jack's story reminds us of how fragile life can be, other acts on the show brought a very warm, comforting feeling by celebrating beautiful family bonds, love, and growing old together. Dave Bettton. In 2020, Dave walked onto the stage with his son, Dean, to sing together. Dave had actually stopped performing 15 long years before because he was simply too incredibly sad to sing after his beloved wife, Josie, passed away. But his son, Dean, convinced his father to sing with him so they could share a major television stage together one last time. Billed as Dave and Dean, the father-son duo performed a heartwarming and powerful rendition of Frank Sinatra's classic song, That's Life, with so much energy. The performance was filled with so much real love and happiness that they got a huge standing ovation from everyone in the theater. Amanda Holden said they completely nailed it, and Simon Cowell even loved them so much that he compared their act to a warm cup of hot chocolate on a cold day because it felt so comforting. You see, Dave was actually a seasoned professional singer who had spent decades entertaining people in Blackpool and had even toured as far as Australia and Las Vegas. So, seeing him step back out on stage made his entire family feel incredibly proud and emotional. Sadly, in September 2025, Dave fell ill and passed away from sepsis at 82 years old. During his final moments, he was surrounded by the love of his close family. Dean later wrote a really beautiful and moving post on Facebook, calling his beloved dad a true legend who always lit up every room he entered. Dave's physical voice might be gone today, but that sweet moment on stage with his son will always be remembered. Dave really showed us the special bond between a father and his son. But the show was also home to a pair of old friends who proved that you never have to grow up, no matter how old you get in life. Henry Hall, making everyone smile instantly with his cheeky attitude and his love for life, Henry Hall was a highly lovely, warm, and cheerful man. In 2017, Henry and his best friend, Malcolm Sykes, decided to audition together as a pair singing duo called the Pensionalities. Dressed in smart suits and smiling from ear to ear, these two retired friends sang Frank Sinatra's classic song, You Make Me Feel So Young, with a lot of pep and so much energy. They made everyone fall in love with them. Their genuine, fun friendship and happy attitude immediately won over the tough panel of judges and the entire live audience. Henry had spent a lot of his life working as a mechanic in Doncaster, and because of his personality, he brought a wonderful sense of humor and mischief directly to the competition. He was a true character. They became a favorite with viewers across the country, and they did so well that they made it all the way to the live final of their series, where they finished in a highly respectable 5th place overall. They were so much fun to watch. Henry really showed everyone that you are never too old to have fun, chase your dreams, and make millions of people laugh. He had a great run on the show. Sadly, in April 2019, Henry passed away peacefully at his home in Doncaster at the age of 86, surrounded by the love of his family. His family wrote in his official obituary that in both life and death, Henry definitely did things his way. He lived a long, happy life and left a really beautiful memory behind for everyone who watched him perform on stage. Henry's story is a wonderful reminder that growing old doesn't mean you have to stop having fun and singing. Henry lived a very long and happy life, but tragically, another of the show's most talented and successful young stars was taken from us in the prime of their lives. Carrie Donaldson. Lighting up the stage in 2014, an amazing top-tier Latin dancer named Carrie Donaldson brought incredible talent and energy to the show. She was part of a big, exciting dance group called Kings and Queens, which was filled with incredibly talented dancers who did a very fast, dramatic routine that left the judges completely breathless. When Kings and Queens first appeared together, their mutual chemistry on stage was completely undeniable, performing to a fast-paced Latin track that earned a massive and well-deserved standing ovation. Simon Cowell was deeply and openly impressed, calling them one of the absolute best dance groups the show had seen in many years. The group, which featured several dancers who would go on to become professional stars on Strictly Come Dancing, cruised easily into the semi-finals, which really shows you just how good they were on the show. Carrie was highly respected in the dancing community because she was a brilliant dancer, teacher, and choreographer who spent her whole life doing what she loved best. She brought an incredibly high standard of artistic excellence to everything she touched, inspiring countless young dancers to pursue their dreams. But behind the scenes, Carrie had to deal with some very tough personal and professional struggles. The pressure of the professional dance world is no joke, and it can be incredibly hard to deal with. Tragically, in June 2023, Carrie took her own life at 38 years old, which came after she was arrested on suspicion of an offense that she said was completely untrue. Her death was a massive shock to the whole dance community, and many of her former dancing friends from Strictly shared sweet, emotional messages about how kind she was. Her mother and sister also shared how heartbroken they were, describing how their whole world completely collapsed after losing her so suddenly and way too soon. Her story is a very sad reminder that even the people who bring so much joy to others on stage can be going through some very heavy things when the bright cameras are finally turned off. So, which of these sad and sweet moments from the show stayed with you the most? And who is your favorite Britain's Got Talent act who you still remember and love today? If you want to see more videos like this one, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the next video on your screen right now for another interesting story.